The alarm started screaming at 3 in the morning. Commander Junho rolled out of his bunk before his eyes were fully open. Years of military training had taught him to move first and think later. He pulled on his uniform and ran to the command center of the space station. The screens were flashing red. Lieutenant Hana was already at her station, her fingers flying across the control panel. She looked up when Junho entered. "We have a distress signal, sir. It's coming from the Valari system." Junho moved to stand beside her. The signal was weak and breaking up, but the desperation in it was clear. He could hear screaming in the background, something that sounded like explosions, then words in a language the computer struggled to translate. "Help us, please, anyone. They are killing everyone. Our children are dying. Please help." Then static. Hana ran the signal through the computer again. "The translation software says they're under attack. Something called the Kreth Swarm. I'm looking them up now." Junho waited while she searched the galactic database. His hands were already forming fists. He had heard distress calls before. They never got easier to hear. "Found them," Hana said. Her face went pale as she read. "The Kreth are a hive mind species. They consume entire planets. Biological weapons. They've destroyed dozens of civilizations. The Galactic Council has records going back 300 years. "What about the Valari?" Junho asked. Hana pulled up another file. "They're a peaceful species. Crystalline bodies. Low-gravity world. They have no military at all. Their entire culture is based on art and science. They've never fought a war." Junho felt his jaw tighten. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need authorization to respond." Hana's fingers hesitated over the controls. "Sir, the Galactic Council already sent out an official statement. They declared the Valari system a lost cause. They said military intervention would be too expensive and probably fail anyway. They're telling everyone to stay away. I didn't ask what the Council said. Send the message to Earth." While they waited for a response, Junho called his senior staff to the command center. Sergeant Minho arrived first, still pulling on his jacket. Corporal Nari came next, her rifle already slung over her shoulder out of habit. Tech Specialist Donghyun stumbled in last, looking half asleep but carrying his equipment bag. "We have a situation," Junho told them. He played the distress call. The room went quiet. Minho's face hardened. Nari checked her rifle without saying anything. Donghyun set down his bag and stood up straighter. "The Council says it's a lost cause," Junho continued. "Earth Command will probably tell us the same thing. But I want you all to know that if we get authorization, I'm going. I'm not ordering anyone to come with me. This will be dangerous. The Kreth have destroyed civilizations more advanced than the Valari. We might not come back." "With respect, sir," Minho said. "Shut up." "We're going," Nari nodded. "They asked for help. Someone has to answer." Donghyun picked up his bag again. "I'll start prepping the ships." The response from Earth Command came 20 minutes later. The message was short and direct. Request denied. The Galactic Council has forbidden intervention. We cannot risk an interstellar incident over a species that is already doomed. Stand down. Junho stared at the message for a long time. Hana watched him carefully. "What are you thinking, sir?" she asked quietly. "I'm thinking," Junho said slowly, "that I've spent my whole life following orders. Good orders and bad orders. Orders that made sense and orders that didn't. But this order tells me to listen to screaming children and do nothing." He turned to look at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting. "I'm thinking that humanity spent 1,000 years tearing itself apart. We nearly destroyed our own planet. We built weapons that could end all life on Earth. We fought wars over land and resources and ideas. We were monsters to each other." He walked to the main screen and brought up an image of Earth. The blue and green planet floated in space, peaceful and beautiful from this distance. But we also did something else. We learned. We changed. We decided that protecting the weak matters more than following bad rules. We decided that doing the right thing is worth the cost. That's what makes us human. Junho turned back to his crew. "I'm going to the Valari system. Anyone who comes with me will probably be court-martialed when we get back. We'll lose our ranks, maybe our freedom, but those people will be alive. So I'm asking one more time. Who's coming?" Every hand in the room went up. Hana plotted a jump to the Valari system. "Minho, get the weapons ready. Every gun, every explosive, everything we have. Nari, organize the combat teams." Donghyun, "I need our systems ready to interface with anything we find there. We leave in 2 hours." The crew scattered to their tasks. Junho sent one final message to Earth Command. Respectfully, sir, I cannot follow this order. There are people dying who asked for help. That's all that matters. We're going. Court-martial me when I get back. He hit send before he could change his mind. Captain Samin found him an hour later standing alone in the observation deck. She was supposed to stay behind and run the station. Instead, she was wearing combat armor. You're going to need a good pilot, she said. Junho smiled. I already have one. You're going to need two. They stood together and watched the crew load the ships. Medical Officer Yuna supervised the loading of medical supplies. Minho was yelling at someone about ammunition. Nari was running combat drills with the security team. Everyone moved with purpose. Do you think we can actually save them? Soman asked. Junho thought about the distress call. The screaming. The desperation. I don't know, but I know we have to try. That's what separates us from the Kreth. They destroy because it's their nature. We protect because it's our choice. 2 hours later, the human fleet jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, the Galactic Council sent angry messages demanding they return. Ahead of them, an alien species faced extinction. But between those two things, there were humans who refused to look away. The Deathworlders were coming. The jump out of hyperspace felt like falling. Captain Soman gripped the controls as the ship shuddered back into normal space. Then she saw what waited for them and felt her blood turn cold. The Valari homeworld hung in space like a dying jewel. Half the planet was covered in something black and writhing. It moved like oil, spreading across the surface, consuming everything it touched. Ships hung in orbit above it. They weren't metal. They were alive. Organic vessels that pulsed and twisted like diseased tissue. Mother of God, Soman whispered. Multiple contacts, Hana reported from her station. I count 50 bioships in orbit. Hundreds more on the surface. The Kreth swarm is bigger than the report said. Commander Junho stood behind them, his face grim. Any sign of Valari defenses? They were orbital defense platforms, Dongyun said, his fingers moving across his screens. Past tense. They're all dead. The weapon systems never even fired. I think the Kreth hit them too fast. Minho came onto the bridge carrying a heavy rifle. Orders, sir? Yunyo studied the planet. We need information. Soman, take a team down to the surface. Find survivors. Find out what we're dealing with. Everyone else, battle stations. If those bioships come for us, we fight. Soman picked her team carefully. Minho for heavy weapons. Nari for precision shooting. Dongyun 2 handle any technology they found. And 4 more soldiers, all volunteers. They loaded into a dropship and headed for the planet. The descent was rough. The ship shook as it passed through the atmosphere. Through the windows, Soman could see the Kreth infection spreading below them. It looked like black veins crawling across the land, destroying everything they touched. Find me a clear landing zone, Soman ordered. There's a city ahead, Dongyun said. The Kreth haven't reached it yet. I'm picking up life signs underground. They landed near the city center. The architecture was beautiful, all crystal spires and flowing designs. It looked like someone had built a city out of frozen music, but the streets were empty. The doors stood open. In the distance, they could hear something that sounded like screaming. Stay together, Samin said. Watch every corner. They moved through the streets in formation. The gravity was lighter than Earth, making each step feel like floating. Nari climbed to a rooftop easily, her rifle scanning for threats. Minho carried enough explosives to level a building. His finger never left the trigger guard. They found the entrance to the underground shelters in the central plaza. Dongyun hacked the door controls in seconds. The door slid open, revealing stairs leading down into darkness. I don't like this, Minho muttered. Nobody does, Soman said. Let's move. The stairs went deep. The walls were smooth crystal that glowed with soft light. At the bottom, they found a massive chamber filled with refugees. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The Valari were like nothing Soman had ever seen. They looked fragile, their bodies made of translucent crystal that caught the light. They were tall and thin with delicate features. When they moved, they seemed to flow rather than walk. They were beautiful and terrifying in their fragility. When the Valari saw the humans, they pulled back in fear. Their bodies changed color, flickering from blue to white. One of them stepped forward, holding a small device. When it spoke, the device translated its words into English. Please do not hurt us. We have nothing of value. We surrender. Soman lowered her weapon. We're not here to hurt you. We received your distress call. We came to help. The Valari's color shifted to something like green. Confusion, maybe. Help? But the council said no one would come. They said we were already dead. They told us to accept our fate. We're not the council, Soman said. We're human. We're from Earth. Another Valari pushed forward. This one was older. Its crystal body bearing marks like scars. The translator identified it as Rilseth, an elder. Earth? Rilseth said. The Death World? We studied your planet in our xenobiology classes. Nothing should be able to live there. Your gravity alone would crush most species. Your atmosphere is toxic. Your planet is covered in predators and diseases. How did you even survive long enough to reach space? We're stubborn, Minho said with a grim smile. Soman knelt down to Rilseth's level. Tell me about the Kreth. When did they arrive? 6 days ago, Rilseth said. Its color shifted to something dark. Sadness. They came without warning. Our sensors detected them too late. We tried to communicate, to offer them anything they wanted. They did not respond. They simply began killing. Your defense platforms? Donghyun asked. We had none that functioned, Rilseth admitted. We built them centuries ago as part of joining the Galactic Council, but we never maintained them. We never imagined we would need them. We have no weapons, no soldiers. We do not even have words in our language for murder or war. We thought we had evolved beyond such things. Soman felt her heart sink. These people had built a civilization on peace, and now they were paying the price for their innocence. How many of you are left? She asked. In this shelter? 300. In the planet? Perhaps 10,000. There were 20 million of us 6 days ago. The silence that followed was broken by Medical Officer Yuna, who had come down with the second team. She was examining one of the Vellery children with her medical scanner. Captain, Yuna said quietly. You need to see this. Someone walked over. Yuna showed her the readings. Their bodies are incredibly fragile, Yuna explained. Their bones are like glass. Their skin tears like paper. They have almost no pain tolerance. A fall that would bruise a human would shatter their limbs. They evolved on a world with minimal disease, no predators, and low gravity. They're not built for survival. They're built for a paradise that no longer exists. Soman looked at the Valari around her. They watched her with large, fearful eyes. She thought about Earth, about humanity's history of war and suffering, about how humans had clawed their way up from being prey to being predators. These people had never known any of that. They had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten how to fight. A sound echoed through the chamber, something scraping against crystal. Everyone went silent. They've found us, Rilseth whispered. Its body turned pale white. Terror. Minho moved to the stairs. How many exits does this place have? Only one, Rilseth said. This one, then we hold it here. Minho started placing explosives at the entrance. Nari took position on an elevated platform, her rifle aimed at the doorway. The other soldiers formed a defensive line. Soman grabbed her radio. Junho, we have contact. We need immediate extraction for approximately 300 civilians. And we need it now. Working on it, Junho's voice crackled back. Hold position. We're coming. Something appeared at the top of the stairs. It was massive, filling the entire width of the passage. Black chitin covered its body. Multiple legs clicked against the crystal floor. Its head was a nightmare of mandibles and eyes that reflected the light like dark mirrors. It saw the humans and made a sound like grinding metal. Nari fired first. Her bullet took the creature in the head. It stumbled but didn't fall. She fired again, and again. Each shot punched through its armor, but it kept coming. They're tough, Nari shouted. Then we use more bullets, Minho said. He opened fire with his heavy rifle. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. The Kreth warrior fell. Then another appeared behind it. And another. They poured down the stairs like a black tide. The humans opened fire. The Valari covered their ears, their bodies flashing colors of fear and confusion. They had never heard weapons fire before, never seen violence. They watched as these strange aliens from the Death World stood between them and death, bleeding and fighting without hesitation. Fall back, Soman ordered. Controlled retreat. Keep them off the civilians! The battle had begun. The shelter shook with explosions. Minho had rigged the entrance tunnel with every mine and trap he could set in 5 minutes. Each time a Kreth warrior triggered one, the blast sent chunks of black chitin flying. But more kept coming. Always more. We can't hold here forever. Nari shouted over the gunfire. She had switched to short controlled bursts, making every bullet count. Her position on the elevated platform gave her a clear view of the killing zone. They're going to overwhelm us. Captain Soman grabbed her radio. Junho, where's that extraction? 2 minutes out. Commander Junho's voice crackled through static. The bioships are engaging us. We're fighting through. Above the planet, the battle raged in space. Unyo stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the tactical displays. The Kreeth bioships moved like animals, twisting and rolling in patterns that no normal ship could match. But they were organic. They bled when hit, and humans had been killing living things for millions of years. Target their propulsion organs, Junho ordered. Those bulges near the rear. Hit them there. The human weapons weren't fancy. No exotic energy beams or quantum torpedoes. Just missiles packed with high explosives and tungsten rounds fired at incredible speeds. Simple, brutal, effective. A bioship exploded as missiles tore through its flesh. Another fell away, leaking fluids into space. The Kreeth had numbers, but humans had something else. Humans had anger. Sir, the Galactic Council is transmitting, Lieutenant Hana reported. They're demanding we cease fire immediately. They say we're violating 17 different peace treaties. Tell them to file a complaint, Junho said. We'll read it when these people are safe. On the planet's surface, Soman's team was running out of ammunition. The Valari refugees huddled behind them, their crystalline bodies trembling. They had never seen death before. Now they were surrounded by it. A Kreeth warrior broke through the defensive line. It was fast, faster than anything that size should be. It lunged at one of the Valari children. Soman moved. She didn't think. Training took over. She threw herself between the creature and the child, her combat knife already in her hand. The Kreeth's mandibles closed on her shoulder instead of the child. Pain exploded through her arm. She ignored it. She drove the knife up into the soft tissue under the creature's head. Once, twice. Again. The Kreeth fell. Soman fell with it, blood pouring from her shoulder. Medical Officer Yuna was there in seconds. I need to stop this bleeding. Do it fast, Soman gasped. We're not done here. The sound of gunfire intensified. More Kreeth poured into the chamber. Minho was down to his sidearm. Nari had switched to her backup rifle. The other soldiers fought with whatever they had left. Knives, fists, anything. The Valari watched in horrified fascination. These humans were bleeding, injured. By Valari standards, they should all be dead. But they kept fighting. They kept standing between the civilians and the monsters. Rilseth, the elder, moved to Soman's side. Why? It asked through the translator. Why do you fight so hard for us? You do not know us. We are not your people. Soman looked up at the crystalline alien. Blood soaked her uniform. Her shoulder screamed with pain. That doesn't matter. You asked for help, we came. That's what humans do. But you are dying for us. Yes, Soman said simply. But you're not dying. That makes it worth it. A massive explosion rocked the chamber. The ceiling cracked. Then another explosion. And another. But these weren't coming from the Kreeth. They were coming from above. Dongyun checked his scanner. That's our ships. They're blasting through the surface. A hole opened in the ceiling. Sunlight poured through. Then the silhouette of a dropship appeared, its cargo bay open. Everyone in. Junho's voice boomed over the ship's speakers. Now! The soldiers formed a line, herding the Valari toward the ship. The civilians moved slowly, struggling in the light gravity to climb up. Too slow. The Kreeth were almost through the defenses. Minho made a decision. He grabbed his last demolition charge and armed it. Get them out of here! Minho, no! Someone shouted. That's an order, Captain! Minho shouted back. He was grinning. Besides, someone needs to throw the party for these bugs. Might as well be me. He ran toward the Kreeth swarm, the charge beeping in his hands. The other soldiers grabbed the Valari and pulled them onto the ship. Soman tried to go back for Minho, but Nari held her back. He made his choice, Nari said quietly. Tears ran down her face. Honor it. The dropship lifted off. 5 seconds later, the entire shelter exploded. The blast wave hit the ship, but the pilot kept it steady. They climbed toward space, leaving a massive crater where the shelter had been. In the ship's cargo bay, the Valari huddled together. They were alive, but one human had died to save them. They didn't understand. In their culture, one life was precious. The idea of sacrificing yourself for strangers made no sense. Is this normal for humans? Rilseth asked Soman. Do you always die for others? Only when it matters, Soman said. Her voice was hollow. She was looking at the planet below, where Minho's last stand had been. He was a good man, a good soldier. He died doing what he thought was right. The dropship docked with the main fleet, but the battle wasn't over. More Kreth bioships were arriving. The human fleet was outnumbered 10-1. Junho called all senior staff to the bridge. They looked tired, bloody, but their eyes were hard. "The Kreth keep coming," Junho said. "We can't win a straight fight. We need to kill the source. Dongyun, can you locate their command ship?" Dongyun pulled up a scan of the area. There, that massive bioship in low orbit. It's 3 times bigger than the others. I'm picking up massive neural activity. It's coordinating the entire swarm. "Then that's our target," Junho said. He pulled up a tactical display. "If we kill it, the swarm might collapse. But that ship is heavily shielded. Our weapons can't penetrate it fast enough." "What about nuclear weapons?" Lieutenant Hana asked quietly. The bridge went silent. Nuclear weapons had been banned by the Galactic Council 8,000 years ago. They were considered too destructive, too barbaric, but humans had kept theirs anyway. "That would work," Dongyun said slowly. "But someone would have to get the warheads inside the ship. Through the shields. Right into its core. A suicide run," Soman said. "Yes." Junho looked at his crew, at the people who had followed him into this nightmare. "I won't order anyone to do this." "It has to be volunteers." Every hand went up. Junho felt his throat tighten. These were his people, his crew. They were willing to die because it was the right thing to do. That was humanity in a single moment. "Hana, Dongyun, you're with me," Junho said. "We'll pilot the ship. The rest of you stay here and protect the Valari. If we fail, you get them out of here." "That's an order." Captain Soman stepped forward despite her injuries. "With respect, sir, you'll need a pilot who can fly with nuclear missiles in the cargo bay." "That's me," Junho wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. "Okay, summon pilots. Hana handles navigation. Dongyun manages the weapons. I'll coordinate with the fleet." They loaded the missiles into a fast attack ship. Nuclear warheads, old Earth technology that the galaxy had tried to forget. But humans remembered. Humans always remembered their weapons. The ship launched. Behind them, the rest of the fleet moved into position, ready to draw the Kreth's attention. Every human ship opened fire at once, focusing on the smaller bioships, giving Junho's team the opening they needed. "Here we go," Soman said. She pushed the engines to maximum. The attack ship screamed toward the massive hive ship. Kreth fighters swarmed around them. Hana worked the defensive systems, shooting down what she could. But there were too many. The ship shook as weapons fire hit their shields. Alarms blared. Dongyun rerouted power, keeping them flying. They were close now. So close they could see the organic texture of the hive ship's hull. It looked like diseased flesh pulsing with unnatural life. "Shields at 10%, Hana shouted. "We just need 30 more seconds." Dongyun said, 20 seconds. The hive ship realized what they were doing. It turned its weapons on the small attack ship. Massive bioweapons that fired living ammunition. The ship's armor began to fail. 10 seconds. They were inside the shield perimeter now. Close enough to see into the hive ship's flesh. Close enough to smell the rot even through the sealed cockpit. "Now," Junho shouted. Soman fired the missiles. All of them. They streaked forward, punching into the hive ship's core. The attack ship pulled away hard, engines screaming with effort. The nuclear warheads detonated. Light. Pure white light that turned space into day. The hive ship came apart, torn to pieces by forces more powerful than biology could withstand. The blast wave caught the attack ship, spinning it through space like a leaf in a storm. On the planet below, every Kreth warrior suddenly stopped moving. The neural connection broken. They collapsed where they stood. The invasion was over. In the ruined attack ship, Junho pulled himself from his seat. Everything hurt. But they were alive. Against all odds, they had survived. "Status?" he croaked. "Engines dead," someone reported. "Life support at minimal. But we're alive." "One of our ships is coming for us," Hana added. Through the cracked window, Junho could see the Valari homeworld. Half of it was still covered in the Kreth infection, but the other half was intact. Millions had died, but millions more would live. Was it worth it? Dongyun asked quietly. The rescue ship found them drifting 3 hours later. Commander Junho's attack ship was barely holding together. The hull had breaches in 5 places. Life support was failing, but they were alive. Medical Officer Yuna met them in the docking bay. She took one look at Junho and shook her head. "You look terrible, sir." "I feel terrible," Junho admitted. His left arm hung useless at his side. He had 3 broken ribs and a concussion. "How's the crew?" 47 dead, Yuna said quietly. 112 wounded. "Some of them won't make it. We're doing what we can with what we have." Junho felt the weight of those numbers settle on his shoulders. 47 people. 47 families back on Earth who would get visits from officers in dress uniforms. 47 empty chairs at dinner tables. All because he had given the order to come here. "The Valari?" he asked. "Safe. All 300 from the shelter plus about 9,000 more we found in other hiding places. They're terrified but alive." Lieutenant Hana appeared, her face pale. "Sir, you need to hear this. The Galactic Council has issued an official statement. They're calling our actions a war crime. They say we violated weapons treaties by using nuclear devices. They're demanding we turn ourselves over for trial." "Of course they are," Captain Soman said bitterly. She was walking with a limp, her shoulder heavily bandaged. "We saved a species they wrote off as dead. Can't have that. Might make them look bad." Junho straightened despite the pain. "Send a message to the Council. Tell them we'll face whatever consequences they want. After we finish helping the Valari rebuild." Over the next 6 days, the human fleet worked around the clock. Engineering teams went down to the planet's surface to help clear the dead Kreth. Medical teams treated Valari survivors, learning their biology as they went. The humans discovered something strange during treatment. Their blood contained antibodies that could neutralize Kreth biotoxins. Yuna organized blood donations immediately. Dozens of humans lined up to donate, even the wounded ones. The Valari watched in amazement as these aliens willingly gave their own blood to save strangers. Rilzeth approached Yuna during one donation session. "This is dangerous for you, yes? Losing blood?" "A little," Yuna admitted. She was pale from donating twice already. "But we recover. And your people need it more than we do right now. Why do you keep helping us? Your commander could order you to stop. The Council wants you to leave. But you stay." Yuna thought about that while she watched another soldier donate blood. "Because it's the right thing to do. Humans have done a lot of wrong in our history. We've hurt each other, destroyed our own planet, fought terrible wars. But we learned something from all that pain. We learned that helping others matters more than following rules that don't make sense." On the planet's surface, Corporal Nari led a patrol through the ruined capital city. They were searching for more survivors. The Kreth had left bodies everywhere. The beautiful crystal architecture was stained with death. They found a group of Valari children hiding in a collapsed building. 20 of them, huddled together in the darkness. They were starving. Some were injured. All were terrified. Nari's team moved slowly, trying not to scare them. She knelt down and offered them human ration bars. The children were so hungry they ate despite their fear. One child, braver than the others, approached Nari. Through a translator, it asked, "Are you going to hurt us?" "No," Nari said gently. "We're here to help. The other humans hurt the monsters. We saw it. You used violence. Our teacher said violence is wrong. That intelligent species do not fight." Nari felt something twist in her chest. How do you explain war to a species that never knew it? How do you justify violence to people who built a civilization on peace? "Your teachers were right," she said slowly. "Violence is wrong. But sometimes wrong things fight against innocent people. And sometimes the only way to protect innocence is to stand between it and the wrong things, even if it means becoming a little wrong yourself." The child's crystalline body flickered colors, confusion, curiosity. "You chose to become wrong to save us?" "I chose to keep you safe. If that makes me wrong, I can live with that." The children followed Nari's team back to the human base camp. On the way, they passed a memorial that the humans had built. 47 markers, one for each fallen soldier. The names were carved into stone brought from Earth. Sergeant Minho's marker stood in the center. The Valari children stopped and stared. "What is this place?" one asked. "It's a memorial," Nari explained. "For the humans who died protecting your world. Why do you honor them? They are dead. They cannot know. We honor them so we never forget what they gave. So their sacrifice means something. So other humans will know that some things are worth dying for." The children were quiet for a long time. Then, one by one, they each placed a piece of crystal near the markers. In Valari culture, giving crystal from your own body was the highest honor. It meant you were willing to diminish yourself for someone else. Nari found Junho later and told him what the children had done. Junho looked at the crystals glittering in the sun around the memorial markers. Maybe we taught them something after all, he said quietly. Meanwhile, Dongyun worked with Valari scientists to help them understand what had happened. He showed them recordings of the Kreth invasion. The Valari were horrified. They had built a society based on the belief that intelligence meant peace. The Kreth proved that wrong. How do we prevent this from happening again? A Valari scientist asked. We have no weapons, no military. We do not even know how to fight. You don't need to become warriors, Dongyun said, but you need to be able to defend yourselves. Let us help you build defense systems, not weapons to attack others, but shields to protect your people. But violence found you anyway, Dongyun said gently. Being peaceful doesn't make you immune to predators. It just makes you vulnerable. There's no shame in learning to protect yourself. The debate raged among the Valari. Some wanted to remain purely peaceful. Others saw the wisdom in the human words. They had trusted that the galaxy was safe. They had been wrong. On the 6th day, a massive council fleet arrived. Elegant ships, all gleaming metal and advanced technology. They surrounded the human fleet. A transmission came through. Human vessels, you are ordered to stand down and prepare to be boarded. You will face trial for weapons violations and unauthorized military action. Junho stood on the bridge of his ship. His crew stood with him. Outside, he could see the Valari gathering on the planet below. Thousands of them, their crystalline bodies catching the light. What do we do, sir? Hana asked. Before Junho could answer, another transmission came through. This one was from the Valari. Rilseth's face appeared on the screen, along with dozens of other Valari elders. Galactic Council, Rilseth said, its voice carrying the weight of authority. The humans came when we called. When you said we were already dead, when you said military intervention was too expensive, they came anyway. They bled for us, died for us, and now you want to punish them for saving us. The law is clear, the council representative replied. Nuclear weapons are forbidden. Their actions cannot be. Then your laws are wrong, Rilseth interrupted. The entire council fleet seemed to pause in shock. The Valari never interrupted, never challenged. They were the perfect peaceful species. We were wrong too. We believed that peace was enough. That if we were kind and civilized, the universe would leave us alone. The Kreth taught us different. The humans showed us that sometimes to preserve peace, you must be willing to fight for it. Another Valari elder spoke up. We formally request that the Galactic Council grant the humans full immunity for their actions here. And we request that Earth be given full council membership. That is not how council membership works. Then change how it works, Rilseth said firmly. Or admit that your council values rules more than lives. These humans are heroes. If you punish them, you tell every species in the galaxy that calling for help is useless, that the council will let them die rather than break precious laws. The council fleet held position for a long time. Inside the command ship, debates raged. The political implications were enormous. But so was the pressure. The Valari broadcast was being transmitted across the entire galaxy. Everyone was watching. Finally, the council representative spoke again. The council will reconsider its position. The human fleet is granted temporary immunity while we investigate the circumstances. Commander Junho, you and your crew will not be arrested at this time. It wasn't a pardon, but it was better than prison. Junho let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Thank you, he transmitted to Rilseth. The Valari elder's crystalline face somehow managed to smile. Thank you for teaching us that peace is worth fighting for. That night, the human crew gathered at the memorial. They had lost 47 people. The wounded were still recovering. They faced uncertain futures when they returned to Earth. Court-martials were still possible. Their careers might be over, but they had saved 9,317 Valari lives. Captain Soman stood at the front, her arm still in a sling. I don't know what's going to happen when we get home. I don't know if we did the right thing by their rules, but I know we did the right thing by our rules, by human rules. We don't leave people to die. 3 weeks after the battle, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 500 species. Today it was packed beyond capacity. Everyone wanted to witness history. The debate had raged for days. Some council members wanted to punish Earth for violating weapons treaties. Others argued that the humans had saved an entire civilization. The recordings from the Valari homeworld had spread across the galaxy. Everyone had seen the footage of humans fighting, bleeding, dying to protect aliens they had never met. The vote came down to a single question. What kind of galaxy did they want to live in? The council speaker stood at the central podium, its translator broadcasting to all channels. The council has reached a decision. The human fleet's actions, while technically in violation of several treaties, are ruled to have been justified under emergency humanitarian circumstances. All charges are dropped. The chamber erupted. Some species cheered, others protested. But the decision was made. Furthermore, the speaker continued, Earth is hereby granted emergency membership status in the Galactic Council, with full voting rights. This is the first such grant in 8,000 years. On the Valari homeworld, the humans watched the broadcast together. When the announcement came, the crew erupted in cheers. Lieutenant Hana hugged Commander Junho so hard he winced from his still-healing ribs. Captain Sumian wiped tears from her eyes. Corporal Nari just smiled and shook her head. We did it, Dongyun said in disbelief. They actually said yes. More than that, Junho said, reading the full statement on his datapad. They're creating a new classification. Earth is now officially designated as a sentinel world, a species willing to respond to threats that others won't. Medical Officer Yuna looked up from her work in the field hospital. What does that mean exactly? It means other species can officially request our help now. If there's another crisis like this, we have legal authority to respond. The implications settled over them. Earth wasn't just another council member. They were something new, something the galaxy had never had before. Protectors who would actually show up when called. Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Other distress calls started arriving. Not many at first. Just a few. A mining colony under pirate attack. A research station hit by a natural disaster. A trade ship caught in a stellar anomaly. Each time the council hesitated. Each time the humans responded. Corporal Nari led a team to rescue a mining colony. The pirates were using the miners as hostages. They had never faced humans before. They surrendered after the first engagement. One pirate captain later told investigators, they moved wrong. Too fast in the gravity, too aggressive. They fought like they had nothing to lose. We realized we were facing Deathworlders and just gave up. Dongyun helped save a research station caught in a solar storm. The station's shields were failing. Most species would have evacuated and abandoned the facility. Dongyun and his team went inside, manually repairing the shields while radiation levels would have killed any other species. They wore suits, took drugs to counteract the exposure. They lost hair and suffered burns. But they saved the station. Captain Soman led the rescue of a trade ship whose engines had failed near a black hole. The gravitational stress should have torn apart any rescue vessel. But human ships were built different. Built tough, built to handle Earth's harsh environment. Soman flew into the gravitational well, grabbed the trade ship and pulled it out. The alien crew swore she was insane. She just smiled and said, Welcome to humanity. Each successful mission added to Earth's reputation. The Deathworlders who refused to quit. The species who ran toward danger instead of away from it. But success came with a price. More humans died. Every mission was dangerous. More names were added to memorial walls. More families received folded flags. But the volunteers never stopped coming. For every human who fell, 10 more stepped forward to take their place. Commander Junho spent most of his time now training new recruits. Earth had created the Sentinel Corps, a volunteer force dedicated to emergency response. They trained harder than any military unit in human history. They had to. They were representing all of humanity to the galaxy. One day, a young recruit named Jihun asked Junho a question. Sir, why do we do this? The other species, they think we're crazy. They don't understand why we risk our lives for strangers. Junho thought about that while watching the recruits run through combat drills. Because we remember what it was like. Humanity spent thousands of years hurting each other. We almost destroyed ourselves. We know what it's like to be on the edge of extinction with no one to help. So when someone else is there, we help, because we wish someone had helped us. The Valari homeworld slowly recovered. The black infection left by the Kreth was cleared away. Cities were rebuilt. The dead were honored. But something had changed in the Valari. They were still a peaceful species, but they were no longer naive. They built defense systems now. They trained security forces. Not to conquer, but to protect. Rilseth became the Volari representative to the Galactic Council. Its first act was to propose a memorial, a monument to honor all those who died defending others. At the center stood a statue of a human soldier carrying a Volari child. The inscription was in both languages. They came from a world of death and brought life. They came from a world of war and brought peace. They are the Deathworlders, and they are our guardians. The memorial was built in the council chamber itself. Every representative would see it every day, a reminder that sometimes the most civilized thing you can do is stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. 6 months after the battle, Lieutenant Hana received a message on the command center of Earth's new orbital station. It was a distress call. A species called the Talon were under attack by the remnants of the Kreth swarm. The council had already declared them a lost cause. Hana brought the message to Junho. He listened to the desperate pleas, the screaming in the background, the same sounds they had heard from the Volari. "How many ships can we deploy?" Junho asked. 3 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and a medical ship. Full crews. All volunteers. That's not enough for a full-scale invasion. No, sir, but it's enough to save lives. Junho looked at the memorial wall in the command center. 47 names from the Volari mission. Another 23 from missions since then. Every name was a person. A story, a family, but also a life saved, a species protected, a future preserved. "Send the fleet," Junho ordered, "and prepare my ship." "I'm going with them," Hana smiled. "I already prepared it, sir. We leave in an hour." The human fleet launched. As they jumped to hyperspace, the Galactic Council sent another message. This time it wasn't a warning. It was a thank you. "To the Sentinel Corps of Earth," the council speaker said. "You have shown us what we forgot. That civilization is not measured by how advanced your technology is or how many treaties you sign. It is measured by what you do when someone asks for help. The galaxy is safer because of you. We are grateful." On the Volari homeworld, children looked up at the stars and pointed to the human ships passing overhead. Their teachers told them stories of the Deathworlders, the species from the hostile world who came when called, who bled for strangers, who taught the galaxy that peace is worth fighting for. In human schools back on Earth, children learned new lessons, not just about wars humanity fought against itself, but about the wars humanity fought for others. History classes taught the battle of the Volari homeworld. Science classes studied how human biology gave them advantages in combat. Ethics classes debated when violence was justified. Earth had changed. The planet that nearly destroyed itself had found a new purpose. Not conquering, not expanding, protecting. Commander Junho stood on the bridge of his ship as they approached the Talon system. He could see the Kreth bioships already. This would be another hard fight. More humans would probably die, but more innocents would live. Captain Soman sat in the pilot seat, her hands steady on the controls despite her healing injuries. Corporal Nari checked her rifle one more time. Dongyun powered up the electronic warfare systems. Medical Officer Yuna prepared the medical bay for casualties. They were ready. The distress call played over the speakers. The same desperate plea they had heard before. The same fear. The same hope that anyone would answer. "This is Commander Junho of the Earth Sentinel Corps," Junho transmitted. "We received your call. We're here to help. Hold on. The Deathworlders are coming." The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace into another battle, another desperate fight against impossible odds. But that was okay. Humans were used to impossible. They had spent their entire existence defying it. On Earth, more volunteers signed up for the Sentinel Corps. Young people who wanted to make a difference. Veterans who had one more fight in them. Scientists, doctors, engineers, all willing to risk everything to help strangers among the stars. The galaxy had billions of species, thousands of civilizations, but only one that consistently ran toward danger instead of away from it. Only one that would sacrifice everything to protect others. They were called many things. Deathworlders, sentinels, warriors, heroes, madmen. But they called themselves something simpler, human, and when the galaxy called for help, they answered every single time.